Okay, well, we'll start then. Um, so, good morning, everyone, and thank you for taking the time out of your busy days to join us on this workshop. We're going to talk around Microsoft 365 for businesses, and we're going to cover off the types of different SKUs and specifically focusing on the Business Premium SKU, which can support you in your modern collaboration of work. So in terms of what we'll cover today, we'll cover off the key challenges for the SMB in the hybrid working world that we're all accustomed to nowadays. We'll talk about the collaboration and IT security within Business Premium. We'll briefly cover Defender for Business, and we'll tail it off with a demo of some of the key features that can hopefully reduce your cost and complexity and data challenge risks. I'm just going to hand over to Bradley now for this next section.
Perfect. Thank you, Pete, and good morning, everybody. So jumping straight into it, we'll have a look at how businesses have been affected by the pandemic. So small companies are the backbone of our economy. They're what help keep us running, and they're the reason so many of our communities thrive. Their presence is silent. They often don't have flashy brands or the attention of Wall Street, yet they are a permanent fixture in all of our lives. When the pandemic hit, businesses all over the world had to scramble and adapt. Many small and medium-sized businesses really struggled with these changes. They didn't know how they'd be able to make it through. Now, a year later, we need to rethink work. It's no longer a place you go. It's a set of activities that people need to be able to perform from anywhere. But at Microsoft, we believe that people are the driving force behind progress. People are generalized problem solvers. They invent new things, they improve old things, and they imagine the future and then find ways to make it so. And in the context of business productivity, the pandemic has reminded us of two things. One, people are amazingly resilient and can adapt to change in circumstances and make all the difference. And two, you can't increase people productivity by treating them like machines. When it comes to people, more work isn't equal to more output. We sprint and then we need time to recover. And what's more, we're social animals. We need each other. In fact, we do our best to work together. This new normal has demonstrated that in order to thrive, businesses need to invest in developing capabilities in these three key areas: real-time collaboration, security, and they need to save costs. Old legacy and on-premises solutions don't solve those challenges. Point solutions don't solve those challenges. A comprehensive, integrated solution will help businesses and partners collaborate, be secured, and save costs. And business owners around the world recognize the need to get on a modern technology stack with benefits of cloud-based collaboration, productivity, and security. The need for this has never been greater, as these data points show. Number one, small business owners understand the need to accelerate their digital transformation. They often just don't know where to start. Number two, increasingly, they recognize that their business are vulnerable to phishing, ransomware, and other security threats, but again, they aren't sure what to do about it. And number three, and they know they need to conserve cash in order to weather uncertain times. But together, and with the right tools at hand, we can help grow your business. Microsoft 365 solution is designed to equip business owners to respond to these three key challenges. In this presentation, I will show you our solution. Let's be more collaborative and connect your people. It secures your business with technology you can trust and helps reduce cost. But you may ask, what is Microsoft 365? Microsoft 365 is a secure, cost-effective, and reliable cloud solution for real-time collaboration and secure work from virtually anywhere. If you're running a business, you know what the world has changed. You know that the world has changed a lot in these last few months, and we're dealing with a business landscape that is markedly different from a year ago. Earlier, as a business, you probably had employees who were co-located and were able to collaborate easily to work from the same office. It was also easier to do business with customers and partners through in-person meetings and physical commerce. Today, employees are working from home or from multiple locations, and how you work with customers and suppliers and partners has also changed. You're probably not meeting with them in person as much, and more of your business is now transacted online. There is a growing realization that remote and distributed work is here to stay. So let's do it right. In fact, a Gartner Inc. survey revealed that 74% will move some of their previously on-site workforce to permanently remote positions post-COVID-19. I will now hand over to Pete.
Thanks, Brad. So we're going to talk about all what Brad just discussed there and how there's one kind of key product in the mix across all the various different licenses that Microsoft offer and its Business Premium. So Business Premium brings together the key capabilities that you need to enable remote work from anywhere. It allows you to collaborate using Microsoft Teams, which we're all using today. It allows you to secure your identity, your data, and your devices that are connected to your environment. And it allows you to have remote access and virtual desktops. Now, as a customer, it eliminates the need for multiple point solutions, which can in turn help reduce your operational costs. And because its comprehensive offering lowers support and help desk and maintenance costs while simplifying your licensing, you can focus on driving your business with your customers. And you may not know it, but Microsoft has a unique vantage point on security. They are one of the leading security leaders in the channel right now. And when you look at some of these facts and figures here on the screen now, you'll see that in 2019, over 11 billion malicious and suspicious messages were blocked. Over 1 billion Azure Active Directory sign-ins were monitored. 18 billion web pages were scanned, and the list goes on. Microsoft's Digital Crimes Unit has been at the forefront of taking down botnets and thwarting cyber attacks for many years. And actually, Business Premium is really cost competitive versus the point solutions that you may already have. If you think about the capabilities that are on screen now, they are included with Business Premium, including Defender for Office 365, Azure Active Directory, Intune, data loss protection, and Azure information protection, upgrade rights to Windows Pro, and more. It's a lot more cost competitive, as you can see, where in some of these cases, you would be paying almost double the price. Defender for Business makes Business Premium an even more competitive and complete solution with enterprise-grade and cross-platform endpoint security. But you also get the benefit of a solution that's designed to work well together versus trying to disparate point solutions to work together. And as well as what you're seeing on this slide, Microsoft has been recognized as best in class by many influential analysts. In the last year, Gartner designated Microsoft as a leader in their 5 Magic Quadrants, recognizing Microsoft's commitment to protect all customers, small businesses, and enterprises. Microsoft was named a leader in the IDC MarketScape for modern endpoint security and enterprise for small and medium-sized businesses. And there's more. There's a number of third-party benchmarking testing organizations that attest to the quality and the core of any small business with good antivirus protection. And the good news is that Microsoft is now rated as one of the top AVs by tests such as AV-Test, AV Comparatives, SE Labs, and more. And it's not just antivirus. It's Defender for Office 365, which also thwarts off the malware and ransomware and spam protection. So to recap, Business Premium brings together a multi-layered security approach across your productivity and collaboration tools so that you can run your business from anywhere with peace of mind. There's identity protection, device protection, application protection, and document protection. Now, each of these core pillars is a different way that a threat actor can access your environment. You obviously want to protect the identity of the users within your organization with features such as conditional access and MFA. You want to ensure that the devices that are connected to your network are the devices that you authorize. So you can remotely wipe any data off devices that people are, using for, as their personal machine or something. You can also enforce strong PIN requirements as well, alongside Wi-Fi and VPN profiles. When it comes down to the applications, you can restrict copy and pasting and saving of corporate data to other apps not associated with your organization. You can also protect sensitive data from being transmitted with data loss prevention tools. And from a document level side of things, you can also protect the documents themselves by classifying and labeling them on which documents can only be shared with certain teams and internally or externally. And you can even track who tries to open them and where they end up, which we'll demo later. So to kind of summarize, Microsoft 365 Business Premium can help you collaborate in real time with teams, enable secure access to your work apps and the approved apps that you allow. It allows you to protect against cyber threats and safeguard your data, and secure your company-owned and personal devices to ensure that the right information is being shared with the right people. I'll now hand back over to Brad.
Perfect. Thank you, Pete. So collaborate in real time. With Microsoft Teams, you can bring everyone in your team on the same page wherever they work, with group chat, online meetings, call-in and web conferencing. Plus, you can stay connected with customers, partners and vendors through online meetings, as well as collaborate on shared files and documents. First of all, Microsoft Teams solves the communication collaboration needs of a diverse workforce. You can stay on top of your workday by easily accessing your files, chats, and apps in one place across desktop, web, and mobile. You can use Teams for informal or one-to-one group chats, or you can have open conversations in a channel. This enables you to share information in a transparent way for faster decision making. You can collaborate in real time by co-authorizing files and sharing them quickly and easily with people inside and outside of your company. Plus, with shared documents in the cloud, you get the benefit of version control and data loss prevention. So, stay connected with an intelligent meeting solution, supporting sharing, video and audio conferencing, and join from a range of platforms and devices, including desktop, browser, mobile, and meeting room devices. Let's take a closer look at meetings. Microsoft Teams offers a complete meeting solution supporting sharing, video and audio conferencing that enables you to meet from anywhere. You can use Teams for all types of meetings, spontaneous, scheduled, and formal with internal and external users. All meetings provide a contextual experience so that you have the context and content you need right at your fingertips. Before, during, and after a meeting, including conversation history, files, and meeting notes. And no worries if you miss a meeting. Team members can also access recordings and transcribed and translated text that is needed to index and is indexed so that people can search for content relevant for them. You can also translate them with a simple click. It's common to work on teams with contractors, consultants, or other types of people outside boundaries of your company. Guest access allows those people to fully participate and collaborate right along with you, including scheduling Teams meeting with anyone who has a valid business or consumer email address, making and receiving phone calls from anywhere with a cloud-based phone system built in Teams. So just how vulnerable are SMBs? There was a 300% increase in ransomware attacks, with more 50% directed at small businesses. And what's worse is that while small and medium businesses face similar threats as enterprises, they don't have the same protection, which sometimes has catastrophic outcomes, with an average cost of data breach for an SMB was around 100K. That is why it makes so much economic sense for small businesses to invest in security upfront. What SMBs tell us is that they need a solution that can help them optimize hybrid work whilst protecting against cyber threats and still maintaining those costs. So passwords are the weakest link in a security chain, and without an additional verification, a single point of failure. That's why we believe strongly that if you only do one thing to help protect yourself, it should be to turn on multi-factor authentication, which can prevent 99.9% of identity attacks. We support a broad range of authentication options that fit the needs for your business and your users. Passwordless methods help make MFA more convenient for users. Microsoft Authenticator, for the greatest flexibility, convenience, and cost, we recommend using the Microsoft Authenticator mobile app. Microsoft Authenticator supports biometrics, push notifications, and one-time passcodes for any Azure AD connected app. It's free to download from the Apple and Android app stores. Also covers Windows Hello. For a great built-in experience on the PC, we recommend using Windows Hello. It uses your face or fingerprint to sign in automatically. FIDO2. Security keys are now available from several of our partners like Yubico and HID Global in a USB, NFC-enabled badge or biometric key. We already have over 100 million users of passwordless authentication, and this number is about to get bigger. If you're hesitant to turn on MFA, there are ways to minimize disruption and make it a smooth transition for your users. With the right access policies, you can prompt users for MFA only when it's necessary, using conditional access that we'll cover next. You can also use self-service portals for quick registration and password reset, saving your help desk thousands or even millions of dollars each year. In a distributed work environment, providing the right people the right access becomes critical. With Azure AD conditional access, you can control where, when, and who connects to Office apps. For example, you could create a policy that blocks access when someone attempts to log in from a country in which you don't do business in. Or you could use conditional access to restrict access if a user is logging in from an unrecognized and potentially compromised device. Plus, you combine MFA with CA policies. For example, requiring MFA when someone accesses your work data from a location that is not trusted, like a country in which you don't do business in, as mentioned previously. Additionally, we recently announced that we're bringing the full capabilities of Azure AD Premium P1 to Microsoft 365 Business Premium. And with this, you get the benefit of powerful features like App Proxy that helps employees to remotely access on-premises web apps without the need of opening broad access to a company's network. With dynamic groups, you're going to help reduce the administrative overhead of adding and removing users from security groups. For example, assigning users to a sales group, use dynamic groups to assign users to groups automatically, and then use the groups to grant access to applications. I will now hand over to Pete.
Thanks, Brad. So we're going to briefly talk about cyber threats and data loss. So one of the core features that you get included within Business Premium is Defender for Office 365. Now, we've all seen a massive increase on cyber threats through phishing attacks, ransomware, and malware. I know to this day, I'm getting emails even right now to my personal email address that I know are spam. And it's the easiest way to trick a user into clicking a malicious link or site. And sometimes we can be in autopilot mode and really busy with our days, and we accidentally click on something that we shouldn't have. And this is where Defender for Office 365 comes to play. Links are checked in real time to warn you if a destination to a malicious site, and it will import safe links. So when that email message is clicked in, the link is checked by Defender for safe links and is identified and blocked as malicious and safe before it opens the website. So for example, the user will get this type of warning page if the link is deemed malicious. If it's an attachment, it will scan each and every attachment coming in via email before it is deployed into the user's inbox. And with this policy in place, email attachments are opened and tested in a virtual sandbox environment. And if it's determined to be malicious, the attachment will not open for the user when they receive it. It will throw up a message on its malicious activity. This protection also applies across SharePoint, OneDrive, and Teams. And artificial intelligence-powered anti-phishing will help protect against impersonation and spoofing. So if my company is ABC Bakeries and somebody has a link to a website or domain that's ABO Bakeries, I know that, sometimes those small differences in characters, sometimes people can miss. Well, with the anti-spoofing, Defender can point this out and mark that this is a website or an email address that you've never spoken to before. Now, say, for instance, we want to protect the data that's in our organization. So, like most businesses, everybody is transacting various different forms of information, such as credit card numbers, date of birth, bank details, personal identifiable information. And Business Premium helps protect your business data and sensitive information to stop unauthorized information leaks, employees accidentally leaking information as well, and oversharing. These different policies can identify, monitor, and protect through deep content analysis, even if your staff forget to apply these controls. It includes pre-configured templates so that you can detect different types of information that is sensitive. And even if they are locale specific, it can also provide policy tips to help educate and prevent users from accidental sharing in the future. Your employees can easily encrypt an email and documents and impose controls such as do not print and do not forward. This helps you to communicate securely with your customers or even people outside your company, ensuring only the intended recipient can read the message. So when it comes down to Azure Information Protection, you can control whether a document can be edited, printed, or viewed by non-employees. It applies to the document sitting on a file share or SharePoint or wherever. And you can also revoke access to an employee who has left the company. So as an example, Megan is the sales manager for the company Contoso. She creates the company's annual sales forecast and classifies it as highly confidential. This essentially locks the document because at her company, highly confidential files are automatically encrypted and only accessible to company employees. After Megan shares the file with her team, Carlos, a Contoso salesperson, attempts to open the file. When he opens the file, Microsoft 365 Business Premium verifies that he is a Contoso employee and decrypts the file for him. This verification occurs every time the file is accessed. This protection stays with the document, so even if it's saved outside the company. So let's say that Carlos saves the document to a USB file and gets a job at another company. That could be in weeks, months, or even years. Even though Carlos has left the company, the Contoso sales forecast is on his USB stick. However, it is useless to him because wherever he tries to open the file, he is unable to decrypt it because he is no longer associated with the Contoso company. And these restrictions and protections stay with the files and emails regardless of the location. Now, let's take a look at devices and how we can better deploy these. We'll talk about how you can manage your mobile devices, how you can deploy them more efficiently, and how you can secure your devices with Defender. So there's a couple of ways to approach device management. You have two flavors. You have mobile device management and mobile application management. Mobile device management is typically used for internal and corporate devices. You can enroll a device to say that these devices are only certified for the company's use. You can report and measure the compliance in terms of are they getting the most recent updates. You can remove data from these devices remotely, and you can provision certifications and profiles on these devices as well. When it comes to mobile application management, this is typically reserved for personal devices, where a user may try to log into company or corporate information or even their email on their own personal device. We've all been there. We're rushing for a meeting where our phone battery has died or a laptop has died and there's nowhere to charge it. And we quickly want to, let the person know that we're going to be late. I'll quickly log into my work email because I know my password, and I will access it through my personal phone. But say later that night, I go out and I leave my phone in a taxi. I have left my login on my personal phone for anyone to pick up, and that presents a risk to the organization I work for. And because of that, you can actually enforce a policy so that any information on those company apps can be restricted or even require MFA access. You can remotely wipe any corporate data that is on a personal device. And when it comes down to the corporate data, your data is your data, and your employees' personal data is their own personal data. So, looking at this example here now, I can see that my personal apps, such as Netflix and Facebook and things, are segregated away from the managed apps of the company that I work for. So, as an example, I open an email attachment that is company sensitive. It will not allow me to copy, paste, or even screenshot that app. I can respond to emails in that, but I wouldn't be able to save anything to my Dropbox account, which is for my personal use. And even if I attempt to do that, you can set up a policy that says the original owner of the email, document, or IT admin gets notified when an attempt has been made. Now, when it comes down to device provisioning, it can sometimes take days or even weeks, depending on stock, to sometimes have a device either replaced or a brand new device ordered from the stockist. With Windows Autopilot, you can reduce this time significantly, as much as down to 1 day. So imagine my device breaks today, and I want to get back up and running and working on my equipment. I would contact my IT support, and they would send me out another device. And yeah, it could sometimes come within a day. But setting up a device for the configuration profiles that I may need can take some time. With Autopilot, that time can be reduced and completely omitted. So the IT admin can immediately ship the device upon notified that my device has been faulty. I receive the device the next day to my home address if I'm a remote worker. I boot it up and sign in with my Azure Active Directory email, and it will start importing all the settings, configurations, and apps that I commonly use on my device. This can also be very useful when it comes to a brand new device. Say I order a brand new device for my entire team. All 10 of those devices, for example, can be immediately distributed from the manufacturer to my employee's home address. In the background, while in transit, my IT supplier is uploading the device serial numbers and hardware hash keys to my environment and assigning the devices to each individual user. So that when that user turns on that device for the brand new first time, taking off the cellophane off the screen, I know that those devices are corporate. They are already being added to my environment. And whenever the user signs in, it recognizes and knows that they are associated with my company, and it starts to deploy the required settings and applications and documents associated with my status at my company. Now, I'll pass over back to Brad to go into a bit more detail around Defender for Business.
Thank you, Pete. So today, Microsoft 365 Business Premium has AV capabilities that come off your Windows device. However, given the increased volume and sophistication of cyber threats, we believe SMBs now need a greater level of endpoint security across platforms and devices. This is why we need launched Microsoft Defender for Business and enterprise-grade endpoint security to business with up to 300 employees that brings the power of advanced technologies like EDR to SMBs and a simple and cost-effective solution. You can use Defender for Business to elevate your security from traditional antivirus to next-gen antivirus protection, endpoint detection and response, and threat and vulnerability management. It offers simplified configuration and management with intelligent automated investigation and response to help protect your endpoints. Defender for Business brings together additional endpoint security capabilities in one package to remove the need for separate web and network protection and threat and vulnerability management solutions. Its proactive, automated investigation and response mean that IT administrators can prioritize only on security events that need their attention. So with Microsoft Defender for Business, it provides simplified onboarding and administration. For Windows operating systems, Defender for Business simplified onboarding and security configuration flows uses wizard-driven, a flow to guide you through the process of protecting your devices. Using Microsoft 365 Business Premium, you can quickly onboard existing devices from Microsoft Intune. Threat and vulnerability management helps you to prioritize and focus on the weaknesses that pose the most urgent and highest risk to your business. By discovering, prioritizing, and remediating software vulnerabilities and misconfigurations, you can proactively build a secure foundation for your environment. Attack surface reduction. It reduces your attack surface, so places your company is vulnerable to cyber attacks across your devices and applications using capabilities such as ransomware mitigation, application control, web protection, network firewall, and attack surface reduction rules. Next generation protection helps to prevent and protect against threats at your front door with anti-malware and antivirus protection on your devices and in the cloud. And endpoint detection and response. Get behavioral-based detection and response alerts, allowing you to identify persistent threats and remove them from your environment. Manual response actions within Defender for Business will allow you to act on processes and files, while live response will put you in direct control of a device to help ensure it's remediated, secured, and ready to go. Automated investigation and remediation helps to scale your security operations by examining alerts and taking immediate action to resolve attacks for you. By reducing alert volumes and remediating threats, Defender for Business allows you to prioritize tasks and focus on more sophisticated threats. Let's look at the capabilities in further detail. Defender for Business provides centralized security experiences for Windows and non-Windows platforms. You'll be able to see alerts and incidents from various supported operating systems in Microsoft 365 Defender and better protect your organization's network. The simplified wizard-driven onboarding and security management experiences are built for Windows operating systems only, with additional OS support for macOS, iOS, Android, and Linux on the roadmap. To onboard and manage other operating systems will require the use of Microsoft Intune service through the Microsoft Endpoint Manager admin portal. You can onboard macOS, iOS using Microsoft Intune. Using Microsoft Intune or local scripts, you can onboard macOS and virtual desktops. Supported platforms include for endpoints, Windows and macOS. Mobile threat defense requires the use of Microsoft Intune for onboarding. Third-party MDM is not supported at this time. Also covers servers as well, so Windows Server 2012 R2. Virtual desktops covers the likes of Windows 365 and Azure Virtual Desktop. I will now hand it back over to Pete for a live demo.
Thanks, Brad. It's also important to note as well that when it comes to your company's security, it doesn't hurt, obviously, to have an additional security wraparound from other service providers as well, because we know that Defender for Business will cover a lot, but it will not cover everything. So obviously speak to your IT partner, so ESP, of course, to make sure that you're covering every element of your secure environment. So in terms of the demo, I'm just going to bring up a live environment for you. Hopefully you can all see my screen. In front of you here, I've got two environments. I've got one on the right and one on the left. I wanted to show you some of the unique features that Defender for Office 365 can do to help secure your data and to ensure that the right links are clicked on and protected against phishing and malware attacks, because that is typically one of the biggest threats to an organization. So over on the far right-hand side here, I've got a web version of Excel on Project Darkness, which has got some customer data. Now, obviously, customer data is very sensitive. It's got people's addresses, their surname, their first name, their zip code, their telephone number, and even their credit card details, as an example. I want to make sure that this is sensitive. So at the minute, it is down as confidential recipients only. If I try to put this as highly confidential for internal only, I can change the sensitivity of this document. And you can see there, it just quickly loaded and saved. So I know that anybody that tries to access this document, they will know that it's a highly sensitive document and it can only be opened by employees of my business. If somebody was to access this document internally and try to change this to general, which is open to anybody, which is probably what has happened in many cases, such as the PSNI recent data breach, where the data was publicized onto the internet for a couple of hours, and it contained very much similar information to what we have in this file. It will ask for justification, and I'll say, the reason for it. But what should have happened is that it should have been highly confidential to the recipients only. So only the people that I email will only have access to that if they are external to my business. These are the different types of labels that you can do to ensure that the data that you share is only going to the people that you want it to. And if somebody was to, if I change this to recipients only, and I attach this and I send it to Matt at ESP here, if Matt was to go and share that with somebody in another organization, I would get notified. And when that other person in the organization was to open this document, it would say access denied for the relevant reason. Now, over on the left-hand side, I'm going to give you two scenarios. I'll just make this bigger. Alan DeYoung works in my organization, and he has just sent an email to various different people saying, we're updating account access. Please use this link to answer some questions to maintain access to all your resources. Now, it's Alan. He works in the security team. I'm not going to think anything of it, and I'm going to click on this link. But what I didn't know is that his email has been compromised. And love a live demo, as you can see here. There we go. It has been classed as a malicious site. Now that tells me immediately that I've been protected by Defender for Office 365, but it also raises the question of why is somebody internally sending me a link that is malicious? I immediately think maybe their account has been compromised. And this is typically what a malicious threat actor will do. They will breach one user in the organization and try to take over other people's details and access, because different people in your organization will have different access. Now, if I didn't have this protecting my users, the threat actor could effectively access every other user in the organization. So everybody in this link here could have been compromised without Defender for Office 365. Now, say another scenario. Say I'm working with a client. His name's Alex. He works at one of my customers at Juno.com. And he sent me over the statement of works for a recent project we've been working on. He attaches a file. He gives me a link to download it. And he also gives me a website. I'll click on the attachment. And all of a sudden, I can see here that malware has been detected and the attachments have been deleted. I will try and click on the link. And it says that the link doesn't work. Okay. And now I'll try and click on the site. And wouldn't you know it, it has been classed as malicious. This is all part of Defender for Office 365. And this is the type of information that can really protect your organization, because whether or not you've already had a compromised device or user, or maybe somebody that you're working with has been compromised, you're protecting your business from attacks from all ranges and all sizes. All right. Great. I will hand back now over to the demo. And from here, we'll just do, we'll skip that engine video. We'll just do a bit of a Q&A. So Matt Donna, has there been any questions raised during this presentation? And if you haven't raised a question yet, please do so in the Q&A chat now, and we'll do our best to answer them now.
Yeah, it looks like we've got a couple coming in. How do Microsoft get the information of someone leaving a company? Surely in the short term, there's a risk of the data he may have. I think I can probably answer that one. Yep. That's actually based on when you send a delete user form into us. As soon as you let us know that a user has left an organization, then we either block or disable their user on Office 365, and then that puts in all the actions that Peter was describing earlier, where they can't access any data that's been protected by DLP or data loss prevention. So it's based on you telling us to update Office 365 that user's no longer there, and it takes care of it from there.
And just to add on to that as well, Matt, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I know that there's a feature in Entra where it's called risky users, and
Yes,
risky
there's-
users identifies strange activity that is unauthorized. It's not out of the common scenario of what a user would do. So
Mhm.
I typically do certain things every day. If I all of a sudden start downloading lots and lots of data and start sending lots and lots of files to a specific email address or to a dongle, or I do it over a period of time, it's marked on the tenant. And at any point, the AI within 365, which is already existing, will say, hey, IT admin, you should take a look at this. This user has recently left the business. However, they have been downloading a lot of files, or this user has been downloading a lot of files. Have a look to see what they're doing. Is there some common denominator of what they're trying to do? Are they sending it to one specific email? Are they downloading it all the time, or are they printing a lot of stuff at the minute? And you can alert the customer or the IT admin to ensure that they're doing the right investigative measures to ensure that there's nothing suspicious going on.
Yeah, you're right there. The risky users and the risky sign-ins reporting can be very good, very powerful. The risky sign-ins, for instance, covers stuff like impossible travel. So that if someone logs in Sheffield and then there's login 20 minutes later in somewhere in Scotland, Office 365 can recognise that that travel that they've purportedly done is impossible, and alert that there's a risky sign in progress and so forth. It's
and trigger MFA and block the user sign in until it's investigated. Yeah.
It's the kind of Defender layer of licensing above the normal Office 365 licensing can add a lot of extra features, which kind of segues into one of the other questions that's come up, which is do Autopilot, Defender, etc. automatically work, or is it something that we have to open and use? I believe the answer to that is they're all part of Office 365, but only at particular licensing levels, and they do require quite a bit of configuration for you to for it to work in the way that your organization wants them to do. When the licensing is available and the configuration has been done, a lot of these actions and mechanisms take place in the background. You see the results of them. You don't have to peddle them day to day, as it were.
Yeah, I know. You can just imagine the task at hand, though. If you're sitting in your office right now and you're looking at every digital device that's connected via Wi-Fi, that serial number and device, hash key has to be inputted into your Intune management portal, so that you can say that these are corporate devices. And if anybody even attempts to do anything with a device that's not on that pre-configured list, you will get notified. And again, in terms of setting up a strict policy to say, well, how would you onboard a device? Is there any exceptions to specific people or specific devices that don't require this and things like that? It takes a lot of configuration, as Matt said, but it is very powerful.
Because it can act on a whole layer of information that wraparound services can't utilize. It does provide an extra layer or intensity to the protection. For instance, data egress from a system. A normal standalone spam filter is not going to realize what information is getting sent out or accessed once it goes through that spam filter. It can't see anything along the lines of, it can see, right, this is a file, and scan it to see if there's anything malicious in there, any malicious coding or whatever, but they can't recognize things like, oh, hang on a sec, this has got information that the organization deems to be confidential. The live links feature is actually very interesting as well, because what has been seen in the past is you'll get a spam email come in, and the link on it as it comes in actually points to somewhere that is perfectly fine, then an hour or 2 hours later, after all their spam emails have gone through these filters, a bad actor or hacker or whatever will change what's at the end of that link, and these emails then are accessing something that is insecure. But with the live link, the safe link feature, every time the link is clicked, Internet Explorer kind of pre-explodes that link to confirm that it is actually still pointing somewhere safe. So there are several layers that this licensing injects into your protection that you can't really do with wraparound services.
I'm back. Sorry, Matthew. My team's booted me out.
All right. Actually, nothing has happened really. We sat here all in silence. No, I was just saying how SafeLinks can provide extra functionality over a normal spam filter, because it's kind of live detonating links as a spam filter. The target of a link can be changed after it's gone through a
Yes,
spam filter.
absolutely.
And I think we've got some more questions coming in here as well. When deploying and managing Microsoft users, the MFA is definitely causing headaches and increased time required to do tasks. Is there something in the 365 subscription to bypass and manage this? That one would actually tie in, I believe anyway. I'm talking an awful lot, I'm sorry. With conditional access features in Business Premium, where you, rather than it being set every logon, you have to supply an MFA. You can set requirements on, okay, well, we know that the device that it's getting logged in from is trusted. We know that the IP address that it's getting logged in from is trusted. And conditionally, we will apply that this logon doesn't require MFA, or actually the system that's being logged on to doesn't have any administrative features, so we won't require an MFA in that instance. But when somebody's trying to access an admin panel, conditional access then would say, oh, hang on a sec, I know you're logged in, but you're trying to do something that's, a bit riskier now, or is a bit more powerful. I'm going to prompt you for your MFA. So there are some features within the licensing that can reduce MFA challenges for general use, but still ensure that it's in place for the riskier operations.
I know I get it all the time. Whenever I'm traveling up and down the country, I typically get MFA whenever I've arrived in a town or a city I've never been to before. So that is it is quite annoying, but I kind of get it. I'm not being, every time I log in from my home address, I'm never prompted, which is great. Or every time I log in from the from my work office, because it trusts the IP, I'm never prompted. But if I go to a location I've never been to before, it will always prompt me, and that's kind of what you want anyway.
Yeah, well, like I was saying, there's some things that you can put in place with the basic licensing, like don't enforce MFA from this particular IP address. But that might not always be the most secure if you've got guest Wi-Fi systems in your office or whatever, because anyone that connects to your Wi-Fi then is coming from the same IP address. There's other things you can do around devices caching MFA or being remembered for MFA for a certain amount of days. But again, that weakens that device. Conditional access allows you to put on a lot more checks and balances, and hopefully strike a happy balance between usability and security.
Yeah. Just really quickly as well, Matt, I've just put up on screen a QR code. So if you have your phones at hand, if you could scan this QR code, this will take you to a survey form just asking about your experience of today, if you find it useful and anything that we didn't cover or anything you'd like to know in a bit more detail. And this obviously, alerts ESP and Microsoft to ensure that we're providing the feedback that the customers want to hear about on these types of workshops. And just an interesting fact as well, probably as you're doing this as well, QR codes are actually quite dangerous. And the reason why is you never know where the link will take you to typically. So one of the most common and common things that's coming up into the environment now is you go to a car park, and it's powered by various different vendors, and they'll always have like go to our website and do it, or they'll just have a really easy QR code that you can scan. You would not believe how easy it is for someone just to go and print their own custom QR code that takes you to a malicious link. And people are going to your car park to go and scan a QR code. They'll immediately think it's for the car park, when in fact, when they scan that QR code, it takes them to a malicious link. It doesn't work, and your phone is infected. And anything that you're signed into is infected as well. It's typically how a lot of people get their Facebook accounts hacked these days, because they've clicked on something that they shouldn't on their phone. Their apps on their device are breached, passwords are changed, and now your identity is compromised. So always be aware when scanning QR codes. Obviously, this QR code is completely safe. I want to make that important to know.
Yeah,
but,
that's what you say.
Yes. Yeah, but just bear that in mind. That's something that has been up and coming in 2023. So bear that in mind when it comes to that type of stuff.
We've got 2 comments in the chat about that. One, James is saying he can't see the QR code. That's okay, James. That means that Peter isn't ripping you off and taking your credit card details when you go through. It's something that we can forward the link over from. Susan's saying though that the survey is saying it's not available at present. Is there a time when that survey opens, or
should have been opened already? But what we'll do is we'll share it after as well, actually, with everyone, so you can give your information back afterwards. I'll go and get the actual proper link for it following.
Going back up the list here, but also been asked, how do I know if our company is configured for Autopilot, Stroke Defender, etc.? Usually there's a few steps that would have to be gone through anyway, along the lines of first of all the licensing in place. So you'd have to check that your organization has got the licensing in place to enable it, and then beyond that, it's conferring with your partners, in this case ourselves, about what settings are in place. Even if something is in and turned on, you still have quite a lot of configuration and testing and tuning to enable it and ensure that it's working for how you want it to work for your organization. So I'd go off the whole thing of, you'd want to be reviewing it regularly anyway to make sure that it is operating in the way that you want it to. So if you aren't sure that's in place, then the natural response there is, well, review what settings you do want in place and go from there. I don't particularly want to read out everyone's names, but from the person who was asking the question, I do believe that you don't have Defender in place at the moment because of licensing, but I can double check that for you. Oh, been quite a healthy range of questions in here so far.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any more?
No, I would say silence is the best answer. So, yeah.
Oh, there is typing happening though.
Oh.
Well, I would say, well,
oh, it's lunchtime. Yes, exactly.
Good answer. What I would say is anything that you want to discuss following up from this, we're always available to discuss it. One of my concerns with Office 365 always is that at the lower levels, you get a load of features that allow you to do plenty of things, but it doesn't instill the security really that you might want or desire around your tenant. And discussing some of the extra features that could be put in place security wise with the additional levels of licensing, always welcomed. I personally think that Business Premium that Peter's been discussing today is a very good bang for buck level of the licensing. It enables a lot of additional features, bundles a lot of things together. So if any of you do want to talk to us about licensing Office 365 for security or anything really, you can always give us a shout, drop us an email. Always happy to discuss security or anything else. So unless there's anything else, we'll call it a day.
Yeah, go have lunch. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care.
See you all soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.